Hi everyone, welcome to the Blackboard site for 20th Century African American Lit, English 398 if you're undergrad or 598 if you're in the MLA section of the course. I wanted to create a brief video to sort of take you through the course, how it's going to work and what the basic expectations are. And I plan to create shorter versions of videos like this at the beginning of each week. I think it's useful sometimes because although I try to make the written instructions as clear and comprehensive as possible, I think sometimes it's useful to have additional sort of instructions or explanations given this way. And so I will do it whenever it makes sense, and I certainly think it makes sense before we start the course. First things first, I assume everybody has had some experience with Blackboard, but even if you haven't, that should not stop you from taking this course. I have this set up so that it should be very clear and easy to follow, and we're using a number of features on Blackboard, but the ones that we're using are pretty straightforward and easy to use, and I'm going to go through those now. Now, whenever you log into the course, you're going to start on this page, what's called the announcements page. And for this week only, you're going to see this introduction to the site, which really just explains how what these buttons on the left do, how they work. But what you're going to get most weeks after this week is you're going to get something like this, and this is a checklist of assignments. Every Monday, I'm going to post a new set of assignments. And although I have posted a full course syllabus to the course documents area, and I will show you that in a little bit, what's most important is that you remember this checklist is all you need to focus on a week-to-week basis. The syllabus is useful for sort of long-term planning, knowing when papers are going to be due and that type of thing. However, on a weekly basis, anything I ask you to do will be in this checklist of assignments. If it's not in this checklist for the week, you don't have to do it. So I don't ever want you to feel confused by looking in the syllabus for instructions or looking elsewhere. Anything I need you to do in a given week will always be on this checklist. Okay? And that seems like a pretty logical place to start right now by going through what I'm expecting from you for this coming week. And that will also allow me to show you some of the features of Blackboard that we'll be using. So, as you'll notice, the first assignment is actually an assignment you're completing right now. It's asking you to watch a video, the video that you're watching now, just to get an overview of the course. And like I said, you should expect to see videos like this, shorter versions usually, every week or so. Now, beyond that, I've asked you to do some reading for this week. Most of it from W.E.B. Du Bois, who is a highly influential scholar, thinker, author. And what I've asked you to read comes from this book. And this is one of the, I want to say, 3 assigned texts that you have for the course. One of the others is Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man, and another is Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye. I've already sent an email to all of you with the specific editions and even ISBN numbers of the books that I'd like you to buy. And you'll notice that what I've asked you to buy are usually older editions. And I do that because they're much less expensive. You can buy used copies where the shipping is probably more expensive than the book itself. In any case, I've also posted those texts in your syllabus, again with ISBN numbers. So I've asked you to read these 3 selections from Du Bois, and then also from that Norton text, that big one that I just held up, I've asked you to read the sort of Norton overview of the Harlem Renaissance. And that'll be a good transition for us as we go into next week and look at specific authors. So this is your reading for the week, all from the Norton text, and I've given you the page numbers as well. Now, what we're going to have almost every week will be at least one discussion board response related to some of the assigned reading from the week. And so what you'll see here, number 3, is complete the discussion board item called Black versus African American. This can be accessed by selecting the discussion board link to the left. Okay, and it's due by Wednesday, August 26th. So to get there, you're going to go up to the left and you're going to click on discussion board. And you're going to see a whole bunch of discussion board items here. These are all the ones you'll see throughout the semester, but the only ones you need to worry about are these two. And sure enough, here's that first one, Black versus African American. Now, before I go into the actual post and how to submit your responses, please note that the rules for the discussion board are as follows. If you complete the discussion board item on time and according to the requirements, oftentimes I'll tell you at least 150 words, or I need you to quote the text. As long as you follow the instructions and post on time, you will receive full credit for the response. And on time can mean up until the last minute of the assigned day. So if this first one, Black versus African American, is due on the 26th, you have until 11:59 p.m. on the 26th to submit it. Now, I would prefer that you not do that because if for any reason you have an internet problem or whatever and it's a minute late, that's the other side of this. You get a 0 on the assignment. So if you do it on time and according to the instructions, I will give you full credit, unless it's ridiculous, right? I mean, it's just all sort of dots and dashes or something. However, if you're late or if you don't meet the minimum requirements of the assignment, you don't get any points. You should think about this though as a way to get a high grade on a significant portion of your grade, because this is a significant portion of your grade. And again, if you just simply do the assignments on time according to the directions, you get 100 every time. And so for this first one that's due on Wednesday, Black versus African American, I asked you a question here, okay? And I've actually posted some additional reading in the course documents area that might help you. It's not required, and you can read that here. And then when you're ready to post your response, you click on this link here, and you hit the button called Create Thread. Blackboard will require you to put in some sort of subject, so my response. And then in this area, you type all of your text, okay? To avoid internet problems, maybe something cuts in and out or something like that, it's not a terrible idea to type these out in Word and save them, and then when you're ready to just copy the text in here. It's up to you, but that's just a recommendation. And when you're ready to submit, don't hit the Save Draft button, hit the orange Submit button, which is both at the top and the bottom. If you hit that, then what you will see, and what the rest of the class will see, is this, okay? Now, if you decide you read somebody else's response, and this is something that I encourage all of you to do, if you want to respond to somebody else, you hit reply, and then you type your response. And then when you're ready, hit submit. What that will look like in the discussion board is this, okay? I've typed a response, and you can see that there are 2 total posts. I recommend that you look at this not in the list view, but in the tree view. Because if you look at it in the tree view, and then you hit expand all, you can see both the response, both the initial thread or response, and then what people have said about it. And you know that if you've posted something and it has a plus next to it, that means somebody has responded, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and delete this. What I say in all of these so far is that you are not required to respond to other people. I say, although it is not required, you're strongly encouraged. Participation is a fairly significant part of your overall course grade, and how you respond on the discussion board is part of the participation grade. But I want to, I really want this to be a discussion board, and that really does require dialogue between class members. I don't want this to be a place where you simply submit your assignments and leave. If I get the sense that people really aren't treating it like a discussion board, and that doesn't mean you have to reply to every person every time, but if I get the sense that overall people aren't using it that way, I may change the requirements so that you will need to respond to other people, but I would prefer not to do that. I prefer for you to take that on yourself. So let me go back to the announcements and we can take a look at the other assignments that are listed. You will see that on Wednesday we've got the discussion board that I just mentioned, and then on Sunday, by Sunday, August 30, you have a discussion board item called Du Bois. And again, to get there, you go back to discussion board, you go back here, and what you'll notice is that unlike the first response, I've got some specific requirements. So not only does it have a due date, but it says it asks you to respond to one of the following questions, and I usually give you multiple questions and give you the choice to respond to one of them. But there's an additional requirement, and it says make sure that you cite the text at least once in your response. So when I say cite the text, and I spell it out here, that means quoting from it directly and then providing an in-text citation. You don't have to do a works cited entry at the bottom where you put Du Bois, W-E-B, the name of the book and the publisher, but I would like an in-text citation that shows the page. This is to sort of get you ready for your first paper, which isn't due for a few weeks. I won't penalize you if you do it incorrectly, but you will not get credit for this assignment or any assignment that requires an in-text citation if you don't even attempt to quote the text. If you make some attempt to do that, you will get full credit. If you do it wrong, I may leave a note on the discussion board saying, hey, you get credit, good job, but you need to fix your citations to look like this. And I might give you a model, okay? So those are your assignments so far. To watch this video, what you're doing, you have 2 discussion board responses due for the week. And the last one is simply to familiarize yourself with the Blackboard classroom. I'm going to take you through it a little bit now, but I'd like you to look around at the various assignments and things like that, and I'll show you sort of where most stuff will happen and is kept. You know the announcement section. Every time you log in, you're going to come back to that, and again, most times you'll get that checklist of assignments for the week. If you need information about me, how to contact me, I've got my phone number. Please note that voicemail is not the best way to get in touch with me. I check it sporadically. Email is by far the best way to get in touch with me. And throughout the semester, you should expect an immediate response from me, usually minutes or hours, certainly within 24 hours. If you don't hear from me within 24 hours, that means I didn't get it, and you should resend. I try to be very, very responsive, especially in an online class. I think that's crucial. Okay, my office is in Ryland Hall, but my mailbox, if you need to leave me anything, is in the Special Programs building in the 2nd floor. Okay, and again, this is all my contact information. Probably aside from the discussion board, certainly the most important area is going to be course documents. And that's where I've got posted all of the sort of pertinent documents, the syllabus, essay requirements, other course requirements, and then oftentimes readings I will have posted to various folders, and I'll explain how that works. But first and foremost, here are the syllabi, and they're similar, but they're not entirely the same. There's more reading in the 598, but there's the syllabus for the 398 section if you're an undergrad, and the 598 section if you're taking this at the graduate level. I do reserve the right to make changes to the course policies or readings and assignments throughout the course of the semester, but not major ones, and I will always alert you if I do that. But if you want to see the syllabus, you simply click on it. It'll open as a Word document. I may also post it as a PDF. And again, a lot of the same information that I just went over is there. Most important here is that I've given you once again that list of assigned texts, okay? As well as there's a film I'm going to be requiring as well, Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing. I haven't required that you purchase a certain version, just that you get your hands on it. I've also asked you to make sure that you have a Google account. You don't have to keep it, a Google email address. You don't have to keep it at the end of the semester, but it becomes easier if we're going to do things like throughout the semester, I'm going to ask you once or twice to talk with me in person, and I'd like to have it, I'd like to do it visually, either through Skype, FaceTime, or Google Hangouts. And Google is useful also for collaborative documents, Google Docs and things like that. So I'd like it if you got yourself a Google account. That would make things the easiest. Also, as we approach the end of the semester, Latin American literature, although it is literature, the distinction in the African American literary tradition between sort of literature, traditional written word, and music, that distinction is often very, very difficult to make. They're very similar, and they're often intertwined in some really interesting and important ways. And near the end of the semester, we're going to do more with music and how it connects to literature. But in order to have access to that music, I'm not posting dozens of MP3s. The copyright issues make that next to impossible. So you need to get yourself some way of listening to them legally. A lot of it will be available on YouTube, honestly, but I recommend that you get yourself a Spotify or an Apple Music account. Both of them come with free trials that should last most of the duration of the class, and you can always cancel. Okay? And then, of course, you're going to need reliable internet access. I should say that internet outages and so forth are not going to be acceptable excuses for posting work late. And the only exception to that is if there's a university outage that causes an interruption to Blackboard. If that happens, I will, of course, extend deadlines as needed. The rest of the syllabus you can look at on your own. It lays out what the basic requirements are, the attendance policy, and how that works in an online course. I encourage you to pay close attention to that because there still is an attendance policy even though we don't meet face-to-face. And then it has the weekly schedule. Again, you do not need to look at this in order to know what you should be doing for a given week. However, it may be useful to you as a planning tool. But on a weekly basis, the syllabus is not where you should go. You should look at that checklist that I'll be posting to the announcement section. Also has the grading scale and so forth. Okay? So that is the syllabus. I do not want you to worry about these at all. Throughout the semester, there are going to be some a few major assignments. You're going to have a couple of papers, a short analysis, and a presentation that you're going to do online. Those are the big requirements. I've posted the requirements for at least a few of them already, just to give you a sense of what they're going to look like. I don't want you to start on them now. I don't want you to worry about them now. I will talk more about them next week. I will officially and formally assign them a week from now. I'm just putting them there so that you can take a look. And please note that all of these documents are subject to change before August 24th, before the first day of class. I may make small changes to the assignments and so forth, but I wanted to give you time with them. And then oftentimes in the assignments or the discussion board, I'll say, here's my question. I've also posted to week 1 or week 2 materials some readings that might be useful to you. Sometimes they'll be required, and if so, they'll be listed in that announcement section checklist. If not, they'll simply be here to help you in case you want to do any supplemental reading. Okay? So these are the course documents. As you can see, I've stopped at week 2 materials, but over the course of the semester, this will grow, and there'll be more and more things, more and more folders will become visible. Very quickly now, the rest of the links. Assignments. Here, I simply keep a copy of each week's checklist. So that checklist of assignments on the announcements page, each week I just archive it in the assignments area. It's the exact same thing that you'll see posted to the announcements section. I just keep it there so you can have a record of what the various checklists were. You've seen the discussion board. I'm not going to go into groups right now, but eventually I may divide you into groups and have you do assignments in groups, and when I do, I will be sure to explain that in more detail. These links here will take you to both if you're having technical problems with Blackboard or if you need to go to the library for various resources. Again, all things I'm going to talk about in more detail over the course of the semester. And then the last one is My Grades. I'm not going to click on it here because what pops up for me will not be the same as what pops up for you, but I do keep your grades recorded there. And I will do that over the course of this semester. I will do my best to stay current, but current means within a week or two. If you've posted a discussion board assignment and it's due on the 24th, please don't email me on the 25th and say, where's the grade? I will make an effort to keep it fairly current. I think that's really important, so you know how you're doing in the course. But also, if for some reason I make a mistake in entering a grade, you will have it and you can call my attention to it and I can fix it. So that kind of transparency is really useful as well. So the grade book will absolutely be a significant part of the course, just in that will be your way of knowing how you're doing as we go along. So those are the basics of the Blackboard classroom. Throughout the semester, I'm going to ask you a couple of times to meet with me, either over the not usually phone. I think I really do prefer something visual, video and audio, to talk about either your first paper or your final paper. I will work on the scheduling for that next week, but I will work with you. I'm up late usually and at strange hours, and so I can usually find a time that works for both of us to have those conversations. I should note that for this course, there will never be a time when all of us need to be online at the same time. The assignments that I post, you can, as long as you make them by the deadlines, you're okay. And then there will be a few moments where I work with you one-on-one over FaceTime or Skype or something like that. And I think that's important, just so we create that sort of individual connection. I think that's really useful when it comes to the final assignment. So this is 20th Century African American Lit. It is all online. I'm working as hard as I can to make this as clear and understandable as I can. And I hope these videos help. I promise future videos will be shorter. But if there's ever anything you need or you need explanation for, clarification on, please feel free to email me and I will get back to you as quickly as possible. Until then, until Monday, enjoy your last few days of freedom. On Monday we will start formally, and have a good weekend.